welcome back to episode number 8. Rob, you're right, producer Rob. That did have a little catchy beat, that intro. I found myself bebopping a little catchy.
This is Live, Love, Loss.
It is. Back at it again, episode number 8. My name is Jason McIntosh.
I'm Katrina Madewell.
And we're here to talk about companionship after loss. Is it okay to
love again?
Right.
$1 million question.
Yeah.
You know, after loss, it definitely can feel confusing, impossible.
We should premise by saying that we're both widowers. So
widow. I'm a widow. You're a widower.
Is that what I always get it confused?
Yeah, I'm the widow. You're the widower.
What's the difference? Because I'm a male and
male, female. Yep.
Okay, there you go. I'm not a widowee. That's the person. Okay, I always get it confused. Okay, here we are. So we lost spouses. So let's put it that way. A significant other.
Yes.
So this might be more in relationship to those who have experienced the loss of a significant other rather than like a friend or parent or a sibling.
And it's been 17 years for you. It's been like 7 months for me.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's quite a bit different. So why don't you kick it off and take it from here?
I mean, it's interesting. Put together this outline and part chat GPT, part like my own little reframe on it. Yeah. And it definitely can feel confusing and impossible. And it's a little bit overwhelming, the whole dating apps and how people date, Yeah. But I think as humans, we do long for that connection, for that touch. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about that hard question. Is it okay to love again, and when? And what the heck does companionship even look like after you've had a major loss of a spouse?
Yeah.
And how do we move forward while we're still honoring the past and not feeling like we're cheating on our spouse that has left?
Well, it's not a one size fits all. So everybody is different. So there's no hard cut set of rules here, what's right and what's wrong. I think it just has to do with how you feel. And then,
Well, and I'll share too, I think and you and I talked about this before, but we both had a little time. I had more time than you did, but we had time that the grieving in advance of losing your spouse while they are still here. And I think that has an impact, because if my loss with my husband had been sudden, I think I would be longer out.
Yeah.
In the grief stage. That's
very true, because you knew it was coming. It's almost like you're prepared as you can be, and probably you guys had, I don't know, maybe had conversations. I know with my wife, there were conversations because, it was a very strong possibility. And, when she would bring it up, at the moment, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to talk about that right now. I don't want to think about that. Right. But, I'm here to tell you I should have probably approached that a little differently, and you should. I'm here to give you guys permission to have those conversations. I am urging you and encouraging you to have those conversations, because I think it really will help for the aftermath and moving on. And because, I know that your significant other wants the very best for you and your children. So it's almost like they're giving you permission, or they're giving you orders. You're under strict orders, like, get back out there, get on the horse again. You need to do this. You need to move on, sure, because you can still honor your significant other even through the, rebirth of a new relationship. I mean, they never are really going to go away, the thought and the memory, especially if you have children and you've shared children together. They're always going to be a part of your life forever. And the person that, and it really depends on the situation. Like we've talked about before, we're not talking about divorce here,
right?
And the step parent or the baby mama or baby daddy. I mean, this is tragic. In many cases, these people may still indeed be together still. Maybe it's the love of their life. I mean, we know that over 50% of relationships don't work out. They end up in divorce. But these weren't these cases, even if that would happen eventually. At that very moment, I mean, I was married. You were married. You were together for 30 years,
almost
right?
Almost 31 years, yeah. We were married for 27 of those.
That's a lifetime. I mean, my adult children aren't that old. So that is a lifetime. And for me, yes, it has been 17 years for me. However, I was not with my wife for 31 years.
I was 20 years old when I met my husband, and I'm 50.
Yeah, so that's so much different. And I think that, so again, it's not a one size fits all. It's not universal. Everybody handles it in a different way. But one thing that you can learn from us is, I think, talk about it, right? And have those conversations. Well, and understand what makes them tick and what's their take on it,
My kids?
No, I mean your significant other at the time. Yeah. When you're talking this subject we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, I remember the times when Chris was still alive and we would lay in bed and cry together, right? Because we knew it was coming. We just knew it was. And I have to share a story about this since we're on the companionship after loss, right?
Yeah.
And I can laugh about this now because it's the fun part of my husband and my kids that I appreciate. But I remember being in the hospital, my husband, he was not conscious still, right? And you could see his respirations on the monitor, but there was no like back and forth. He wouldn't squeeze your hand, nothing like that. It was the final days, probably the day before he passed. But they can still hear you, and the hearing is the last thing to go. And I remember my son laying on the bed talking to my husband, and I forget exactly what he said, but something like, "Don't worry about Mom, Dad. If anybody tries to come near Mom, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kick their, something like that."
Well,
and you could see his respirations go up.
Yeah, it's
on
funny.
The monitor.
Well, that's actually, you kind of read my mind in a little note I just made for myself when we were talking about this. I think that for many reasons, we were just talking about the conversation between you and your significant other, but there's you just reminded me of this. There's a very important other aspect to that is your own children. So, because my children were much younger, and so the thought of daddy with another woman is a huge no-no. So I think had they heard this from their mother, it may have a different feel or dynamic, right? So I think you have to involve your children no matter what age they're in, adult or young. Let's just get it out there. You got to talk about it. And I think that didn't happen. And we talked about an episode, we reshot episode number 1 today. So, things that I think that we were robbed. I didn't get the chance to have a lot of these conversations with my wife, and man, I wish that was one of them because, if there was even an inkling of a thought of any other female making any type of appearance, and I'm talking years later, it was like,
your kids were like,
and there was always, I can always see the look, it's just,
So you're significantly more time in between than me. How long was that? When was the first time you actually brought a female around your kids?
It definitely,
do you remember?
It definitely did not happen very soon after. I mean, it didn't have time to happen. I mean, because
I get that. I'm curious.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, it's been that long. It's been 17 years. So the thing about it, you're going to ask me questions that I haven't thought about in many years. And so I wasn't even prepared for that here, even on the show now. It was quite a bit later on.
Do you think it was like 6 months or a year or 2 years or 5?
No, it was definitely years.
5 years?
Yeah, no, it wasn't 5 years. No, maybe a little over a year. Maybe because the newness of everything. I mean, the first year for me was just go, work. I mean, I had an infant, and I had to go back to work. I had a very demanding. I was in the car business, so I mean, sun up to sundown. I mean, I worked, 6 days a week. Before my wife passed. When my wife passed, I would start to take my days off and did things a little differently. But I was just in go mode, and we had the au pair there for the first part, and that didn't work out so much because she came over from the Ukraine and I think discovered the internet boys, and probably lived a very sheltered life over there, and she dipped out one night in the middle. So
what, this was somebody you dated after?
No, God, you don't know. You obviously don't know what an au pair is.
No, I'm not following with you.
Well, we actually did talk about this in one of the shows. So, but I will remind you. Yeah, Rob's saying yes, we did.
We did.
An au pair is remember the whole foreign exchange student concept.
Yes. Okay.
An au pair is someone who is going to help you, and doesn't necessarily have to be in a in a widower situation. It could be just coming over to help the kids as in childcare or whatever, housekeeping, nanny. They're like a nanny. They're like your own little nanny. They come over here, and that's how they get a visa to come to the States, and they move in with the family, and you pay the company who brings them over, and obviously the cost of it is a lot more affordable than if you were to hire a full-time nanny. Here it could be very expensive, right? So it's subsidized so much greater because of the dollar rate conversion, I guess.
And it's an experience for the one that comes over in the family.
Experience. So, but our situation didn't really work out that great, and so it kind of threw me into this trajectory that I didn't really have time not only to grieve, I didn't really have time to date either, and it just wasn't something that was an immediate thought for me.
Yeah.
Not because it wasn't so much, I can't even think of the thought of it. It wasn't so much that, because there was the thought of it, because obviously, we talked about it with my wife, and I should also say too, I mean, I love my wife, and we just probably like normal marriages. I mean, we fought, we had our problems. Yeah. I mean, even before we knew we were sick, I mean, there was a point in time where I think that, we talked about separation, and I, honestly, funny part about it.
Every couple does.
Yeah. But ironic thing is, I tell this little story. It's kind of ironic is, well, there was a rocky little patch, and I got a little furnished place, and I was moving out, so I got a place, and I stayed there like one night, right, and it was like a little month-to-month thing, and it was furnished, and I was going to move out. I'm going to show you I'm going to move out. I don't think she'd think I was going to do it, right? So I did move out, and did the one night. I'm like, what's going on? What are we doing? She's probably like, oh, shoot, like maybe I should not be so mean to him. And so it was like a wake-up call for both of us. You don't know what you got till it's gone type thing.
Yeah, you can feel it.
So she's like, just come home, I love you, So I came home, and then, I probably had I may not have a young daughter. So blessings are there. I mean, you count them, and, you don't know what blessings are in store for you. And so that definitely happened. So it is important to have those conversations. It is okay to love again. I don't think that it's the mentality, let me hurry up and go out and find it.
Well,
I think you just have
were
to
in your 30s with young kids when
yep.
that happened for you. I'm in my 50s with grown kids. Different.
It is different, and well, it's so much different, and because you were talking about dating apps and all that stuff, and it's so funny because all the complaints that women have about men on them dating apps is, especially if they have children, they're very guarded and protective, as they should be, right? Yeah. And they're like, I have children. If you have a problem with that, swipe left. They're almost a little passive aggressive about it, but they're just so, what they want. So here it is. I mean, not by design or plan, but I just happened to be the knight in shining armor and the poster child for what a good parent looks like, because I'm raising my children as a single father in this world, 9-month, 8-year-old, 13-year-old, and I'm holding it down. And, if it was up to my mother-in-law, who's no longer with us, I mean, she would have raised those children on her own. She said it. She even said it to my wife when she was alive. I'll just take the kids and I'll raise them. And she's like, you will do no such thing. She was like, you're not going to tear those children apart. And she tasked me to that job, and like I was going to give them up anyway, right? So, anyway, the reality of the situation is didn't go over very well. I think that I was almost like, I don't know, like instant baggage maybe, because I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, this guy's a widow and widower. And he's got an infant and, 8-year-old. That's just too much for me. So maybe they wanted more of a clean slate, even though they had kids of their own. I experienced that a little bit. Like it was a little bit of a cloud over me. Like I struggle with dating. Like I didn't get the opportunity to date because I think I wasn't the knight in shining armor. I was like, this guy's got too much baggage.
And in your mind, I'm sure you felt that way, but like from a different perspective, it's like, okay, that is a ready-made family, and like I don't,
Yeah, what
am I stepping into?
Yeah, and it's like I'm not trying to replace their mother, because you can't replace their mother. You'll never be a replacement to their mother. But
right.
It doesn't mean they don't deserve a mother figure in their life. And I think that was my wife's maybe wish or goal, was to just make sure they're good to my children, right?
Right.
And So anyway, wasn't in the cards for me. So, I raised them by myself. Up to this day, my youngest will be a senior this upcoming school year. So she just finished her junior year. So
okay. You're in the home stretch. You're going to be an empty nester.
Home stretch, baby. So, so I like to think I did a good job. And, they are super self-sufficient, and they have become, they grew up fast because of their situation. But I think also too, it made them into stronger women, right? And they're definitely protective over their daddy, you know. And I know they'll have their concern. Here, listen, the tragedy of losing a parent is something that at that young of an age is super tragic. It's not like their parents. It's not when your parents are elderly and you've lived a full life and they're in their 90s, and you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s. It's a whole different dynamic when you lose a young parent. My wife was 34 years old.
Super young.
And so anyway, I say have those conversations today, right now, and have them involve your children in those conversations. Make sure it's out there. Maybe they don't want you to love and put a shrine up for them. I don't think that's probably not healthy. And they probably don't want that. They want to leave you the best version of yourself, and they want to leave you intact. I truly believe if they really love and care for you, I know if I was leaving someone behind, my concern for them is I refuse to let you just fall to pieces. And if you don't move on, I will haunt you every day of your life. Be happy, right? Just, you can celebrate my memory and life by, being happy, and you can remember me, but you don't have to put the shrine up to where you stop living.
Well, it's hard enough to find happiness, right? After you've lost someone.
Yeah, and that's true. And that's one of those things, because the whole word soulmate, right? And if you found what you believe is your soulmate, I mean, that's a long time to be with someone. And then, and you know what? Maybe you never find that connection there, but you find a different connection for different reasons. So I just think that, maybe the word soulmate, you're just going to find someone who you really connect with. And I think that's the important part of it, is, and we'll talk about that in future episodes. It's not necessarily this one right here, because I have a lot to say. I mean, I could probably give you 10 episodes off rip, because I'm very opinionated on this, because I have gone 17 years. So I am going to have a lot more, material.
You'll have more content for sure than me.
That's the word I was looking for. I got an abundance worth of content, right? Because
that's the next show, is dating in 2025.
17 years is a long time, but also at the same time, I mean, when we're talking about some of these stories, and I'm reliving it for the very first time in a long time, and you'll ask me a question here and there that I'm not prepared on, because I'll really have to stop and think about it, because it's been that long. But yet, in the same token, I can also feel things like it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. It's so odd. It's just an odd thing.
It's okay to think about it. I do ask hard questions that people can't always answer right away.
Well, because maybe I haven't thought about that in 17 years, So it's just like, let me stop and think about that for a moment.
So the first person that you dated, maybe you brought him around your kids, maybe you didn't. Like for me, I'm not bringing a guy home. I have my two grown kids still live with me. I'm not bringing a guy home. But when you brought him home, like, how was that for you? Like or maybe even just the first time you were touched, maybe they weren't even at your house.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird for you? I'm not in that space yet, but I know for me, the thought of someone touching me at this moment.
Well, I mean, so I was married and was faithful, I mean, yeah, it's like riding a bike, but was it?
That was such a dude answer.
I know, I just had to do it. You opened the door. It was so easy to walk through it. Great question. And again, I have to stop and try to remember even that first time. I mean, I wish I'd been more prepared for these questions. Was it weird? I think it's
definitely going to be weird.
The intimacy of being closer to somebody is, yes, because you almost have like this awkwardness of it was like the very first time with your wife, your husband, because you're already past all that. Now they've seen you at your worst and best. I mean, they have no problem barging right in while you're on the toilet, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
so like, all right, tell me about your day and how'd your day go? Like, little privacy here. So you got to start all over again there, and then you've got to maybe be romantic again, and you have to like
court them.
You court them, and you got to do all that stuff that you may not. You may have kind of let some of that go, So you might have to dig in your bag of tricks again.
So
decade. You got to let me finish.
Sorry.
So almost that time. So here things change, and dating changes, and times have changed. So what was cool then maybe not be so cool now, and like
what was cool then?
I don't remember. We didn't. Well, like we did not. I don't know what that sign was. Help us out, Rob. What does that mean? Was that like a?
I think he's mocking fun at you.
Okay. So, well, when I first started dating my wife, this was before we had cell phone. Every adult has your child has a cell phone.
Yep.
Because we don't have landlines. Do you have a landline in your home?
No.
I sure don't either. So that's why your child has a phone.
I want to say yes, but I don't.
To reach you. Like, who really does? So, and even internet's wireless. So, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't even text. We didn't even I remember the beepers was there for a minute. The little beeper, the little 911 or little whatever that was, a booty page. I don't know. Whatever they did back then. But if you didn't put effort into it, there was no relationship. So, like, you actually had to. Maybe you did one of those with the. When I said dial thing without the cell phone, I immediately went to the roto phone. The roto phone.
The rotary.
You actually had to like dial. It's so funny. I did that instinctively because I've done that a few times. See, I've done that before. Anyway, you actually had to make effort and actually call. You actually had to show up. I mean, it was a whole different animal. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we put a lot more work into it back then, I think, technology and convenience. And we were just even talking about before the show, producer Rob, about just even like delivery. Like, well, if I can't get it today or the next day, I don't want it. So then you're on Prime looking for same day delivery and next day just to get it because we're
same day girlfriend.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's actually a pretty good idea. Prime, if you're Amazon, if you're listening,
same
sign me up.
Yeah.
So I think that's the anyway.
All right, so I want to.
We're getting off track.
No, I want to talk about the elephant in the room because we're talking about companionship, right after loss.
You never let me finish the thought.
Oh,
that's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, go for it. Let's talk about elephants.
No.
I don't even remember what I was going to get to anyway. You do that a lot, but it's okay. We had our little first fight right here on the Live, Love, Loss.
I always think you already hit the point and you're like, no, wait, I'm still talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you some dating advice.
Okay.
Since you're going to be newer into
oh gosh.
I think we're going to talk about
I'm scared.
the date. Well, that's something you got to change like right away.
What?
If we're on it today, because I can be guilty of it at times. Because I get excited and I just want to talk, and like if I don't get it out now, I might forget it. So we have ADHD problems for sure, but it's the cutting somebody off in mid sentence. So be careful you don't do that.
I know. I'm so guilty.
You're a dude. You're just like you call me a dude. You're such a dude too as well.
I'm sorry. I am.
And maybe I'm more of a chick. I'm more of a romantic. You're not like.
Thank you.
We did well. I only say that I laugh because I listened to the first episode that we lost. Again today, and you had said we were talking about I'm an Aries too, just like
my husband was an Aries, yeah.
And so and Aries come in all different sizes, shapes, and I'm the very loud, outgoing, full of energy, Aries, type A, alpha male, and you had talked about. Your husband being very strong into jujitsu and very strong, but a little more on the quieter side, right?
Oh, yeah, he was.
But don't mess with them type of a guy,
the silent killer.
Silent killer is exactly what you called him the first time.
I did? Okay.
And so your love language was like, he's like me, a little PDA, loves PDA. That's all of Aries. We're very touchy-feely. We're very affectionate.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's true.
You're like, whoa, dude,
Yeah.
back off. I mean, you want to show me a love language? Take out the trash.
That's true.
Right? Acts of service.
Sweet.
Like, for me, it is all about words, and it's all about love and affection that I don't know, that companionship, that need. So I did have that. I mean, I still have that to this day. I mean, I definitely, it worked out between you and your husband, and you probably completed each other in the sense of the yin and the yang. One compromise for me that I won't be able to compromise is I don't know that I could be with someone who isn't as affectionate as me, right? Because I want that, right? I want that sort of connection. So everybody's love language is different, but yet it's also interesting to see how each other complements each other too, right? So, and that's one of the interesting things I think we'll rediscover and we'll bring up and we'll talk about in some of our future episodes, or maybe even this episode here. So it's just interesting. So
Aries can be a little smothery.
You
guys can be smothery.
We are definitely lovers.
My husband was smothery. I was like, okay, you're choking me out, like you're smothering me.
But
I love you, but I need some space.
I will say that you learn other people's boundaries and you learn how to read a room. But I also think that too. Like I know for myself. I mean, one of the things I'm definitely not is I'm not controlling. I'm not like jealous and obsessive. Like where you at? Where you going? And I'm very secure. And man's a man, you need to be secure, and you need to trust your significant other, right? In any circumstance,
right.
That they're going to do the right thing. Otherwise, it's just really not a relationship. And that's why I think 50% of the relationships don't work out. There's got to be that level of trust. And I think if you're with someone for that long, you get to know them on a different level that others don't. And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. But I know for me and myself, I wouldn't consider myself smothering in the event of, being too obsessive, but it just depends on where you're at in the relationship. Is it early on or clingy? Because I think that's, and for those listening,
clingy's gross.
Exactly, it's cringe, and you understand what I'm talking about. There's that level of sending the text like, hey, I was just thinking about you. I thought about this and it made me laugh. Thought about you. I saw this and I thought about you. I think you kind of need that, but some people don't need it as much. So it just really depends on when you're with somebody for so long, you really understand what gets their motor going and what their turn-ons are and what their turn-offs are. And you really respect that about each other, right? And you honor that as best as you can, right?
You know to push your buttons too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That comes with the territory.
Yeah, I used to give my wife trouble all the time because I would use the whole 2-liter analogy, or like a can of Coke or something, where if you poke the bear. If you poke the bear, you're going to get the bear eventually. But you keep shaking this thing, eventually it's going to explode. Or the first time it's all over the place. So, because I have a breaking point too. We all have a breaking point, right? So and so it kind of goes back to the question of is it okay, or the newness of it all, because you're learning all of that over again. You're so used to and accustomed to the person that you've been with so long, or even if it may not be 31 years, even if it's 3 years, you already know. Even 3 months into it, you already know. And so there are no hard, fast rules. It's just what works for you, how you're feeling in the moment, and you do want to respect your children. They're part of the equation too, but like you have adult children, so that is different. And they have to respect you.
I can remember being out on New Year's Eve, and I had intentionally put myself.
Did your child become the parent?
Oh my gosh, helicopter kids, where are you at? What are you doing? When are you getting home?
It's so funny.
And I intentionally.
At least they love you.
I know, but I intentionally put myself in a position where I didn't feel like I knew the person I was with was not going to try to bother me, if that makes sense, on New Year's Eve. Yeah. And I knew that he was going to give me space and not try to be in my space, because I wasn't ready for that. It had been 2 months by that point. And the only thing I had done the month before was I went to a crew event, and one of the guys in there was already trying to take me home. And this was a month after my husband passed. And I was just I'm leaving.
It's too new.
We're going home by myself, not with you.
Do you find though that, because there's going to be a lot of people listening, and they're going to, and it's okay to, you're going to give them perspective into where you're at, because there might be people out there saying, well, that's too soon, but not if, and that's why we're talking about all this. Number one,
it was New Year's Eve. I don't want to be home alone.
Exactly. And then also too, if there's been conversations beforehand, and if there's been some context that they don't know about, so don't be so judgy, number one. And number two, I mean, you have really no right to really understand because you're not there. And what's too soon for someone is maybe too long for another. I don't know. I mean, everybody is like way different. And then, you know, if anything, you should almost applaud somebody for being brave enough to actually, you know, move on. And that's a sign of them moving on and coming to terms. And that's a sign of healing. That's a sign of you know, really living again, which is part of the show, you know, and I think that's important. So let's talk about that. What would you say to someone who says, well, it's just really too soon? I mean, I'm curious. I want to hear your take on it, you know, of you know, it's okay to get right back out there, you know, and 5 months is it's still pretty soon.
Well, for me, it's been 7, but I think.
But you went through this for years.
Yeah.
You knew this day was coming for years.
So I think for one, I think it's no one's business. So I'll just put that out there. I think it's no one's business what you do in your private time, and I think you do what you need. I do want to talk about something that's not on the outline.
We're speaking to our audience.
This is not on the outline. This is what I was going to tell you.
Great, but listen, remember who we're speaking to. We're speaking to our audience that may feel guilty about getting out there too soon. So I want you to give them permission.
You definitely have permission. I don't think you have to answer to anyone.
Yeah.
You know? So and let me.
You heard it right here from Katrina Midwell.
But let me put that into perspective, Jason. So just going out there, like we're talking about in my space, that's hanging out with someone. Right?
Yeah.
I haven't had another man like in my space intimately. I've not had sex since I've lost my husband. Yeah. I have not let anybody touch me.
So
I mean, we were just talking about this last night because you guys said, "Oh, you need to go on a date." So I did. I intentionally went on a date, like just for you guys,
just for material.
And the guy literally.
Now, does he know that he was just a prop?
No, I didn't tell him. But there's a point. So he leaned in and said, "Can I kiss you?" And I said, "No, I'm not ready."
Now, does he know?
No.
Okay.
Well, no, he knows I'm a widow.
But does he know it was that fresh? Or?
No, I didn't tell. Well, yeah, no, he didn't ask me and I didn't tell him.
Okay.
But I also didn't tell him he was going to be subject matter.
Hey, buddy, you probably leaned in a little too soon. The first date, you know, read the room a little bit. She wasn't ready. But I never ask, because if you have to ask, then what that means is it's not time. If you got to ask, because you'll know you want it. You know, when you don't ask is when you know.
So one thing I want to talk about is not on the outline.
Yeah. Okay.
The widow's fire.
Huh?
Oh, we're gonna go here. Okay.
The what? What?
Just why don't you just Google or Chat GPT that really quick?
To do that. Why don't you just tell me? It'd be quicker.
So, widow's fire is a real thing.
Okay. I'm gonna do it.
And it's after you have lost a spouse.
Did I ever have that? I wonder.
Rob is shaking his head. He knows.
How would you know, Rob?
You're gonna make me say this. Oh.
No, I'm gonna look it up.
So, after you've lost a spouse, widow's fire is real. And widow's fire.
Okay.
You gotta Google that, but we'll talk.
Because I'm a man, I didn't have that, so.
That's what I was at. I was kind of asking that question, but also sharing. What did you read? Go ahead and just read it.
Do you really want me? I just turned red.
I can't say it. I know what it is, but I've been reading.
Oh my God!
You say it.
Oh my God! Okay.
You say it.
Widow fire. It refers to the phenomenon. I didn't know it was a phenomenon. Whoa, where have I been? Like, okay. Oh, I got a whole new mission now. No, I'm kidding. Widow's fire refers to a phenomenon where widows and widowers. Well, I didn't know if it's
You're not out.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
So I'm going to take you back to that once you finish.
Okay. Experience a heightened sexual desire or lust after the death of their spouse. This can be a complex emotional and psychological experience, often related to the void left by the loss of a partner and the natural human drive for intimacy. It is important to remember that it is common experience and that grief and sexuality are not mutually exclusive. Okay, you know what?
So
I didn't even think about this for a moment. But when my wife had started to do the chemotherapy and some of the radiation, I mean, it gets to the point where they can't be intimate, right? So they're no longer have the capability of being intimate. So, and that just really depends on how long that someone could go through that for years. So it's almost like and that's an odd thing too, because now I totally forgot about this until just now. It's like she gave me that pass, the free pass, wow. I didn't take that free pass, but she gave me a free pass. She's like, listen, these things are going to happen, and it's not going to happen down there. And I just want, if that's true love right there, that's, and especially for someone who's like, I mean, I was so shocked and surprised that she gave me the pass, but looking back, but I didn't take the pass. I should say, point out, but maybe that was a test too.
My husband never would have given me a pass.
Yeah,
not that I wanted
I don't
to
know
take
that
it,
I would be man enough to do it, but to give the pass, but interesting. I did not know this.
So widow's fire is real, and I'm telling you because I thought it was me, and I thought, oh my God, there's something wrong with me.
It's been 17 years, Katrina. So you got to understand, like this is so interesting. The two, 5 months and 17 years. So there was definitely some fire going on there because this sounds really, really bad, and it's not because I love my life because they put in there the word lust, and we have a primal thing. So. You might feel guilty saying this out loud, but I don't know. It's a little. The reality of the situation is, oh my God, now I can go out and have, what's the word? The
All right, so I'll just put it out. I'm just going to say it, right? We said we're going to be vulnerable. So the widow's fire is real.
Okay.
And although I couldn't. Trust me, if I had a friend with benefit that I was comfortable with, I definitely would have went there because it's an extreme sense of like, you feel like you're in your 20s with hormones. I can't even describe it. That's the best way I can think of to describe it. But it's an extreme sense of sexual desire. Like it's real and it's super strong. And I was reading all these forums and all this stuff, and I'm not the only one that experiences that. And I felt that way. And a lot of widows they have regular sex after I sexted, but I didn't have sex.
Okay. So
I'm just going to say it because it's real. No one's talking about it. So we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, you may as well. I mean, because it's important that we do this because people are going through this and they need to know, hey, and again, I mean, there's others that, I mean, like you said, it's another business, but we're talking about something that's very real and something that we went through, and everyone's going to go through it a different way. And one thing I will tell you, if you can Google it, it is real, and there's a lot of millions of Americans that have experienced it. And so,
read some of the posts in those groups.
Yeah. So, I guess I was just busy changing diapers.
Yeah, you didn't have time to have widow's fire, but I think probably if you were like me and your kids were grown and you didn't you don't even have that downtime at the end of the night in your position, but I got
some widow fires right now though, today. Like, I'm kidding.
Oh Lord.
But I widowers. I'm a widower. So I that's interesting. I did not know that until today. And I was a widower. Imagine that. I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's real. I thought it was something wrong with me, and then I started reading them like, okay, no, a lot of people feel this way. I don't know why, but it's there.
Is it subconsciously, subliminally, there's maybe a little bit of excitement of that newness and just, or maybe it's that yearning of, it takes you back to when you first started dating your significant other and you had that, how everything was so new and exciting and just, it's just.
I don't think that's it. I think it's.
What is it?
I think it's a sexual desire like you have when you're young, like a teenager kind of. It's almost like that.
But I'm saying that because subliminally, is it because you're in that situation where, okay, all of a sudden I'm not in a committed relationship anymore. And so you're like, it's almost like it's okay now. You have the full-time pass. It's not you have the ability to do whatever you want to do. Go out and one night stand, whatever floats your boat, whatever, get your motor going. So
now they look after kids. No?
I don't know, but what I'm saying is, it's now you have the ability to do that, and there should not be judgment on this. And there's going to be some that are listening that are sitting in judgment. And there's
somebody like me that's feeling guilty for having widow's fire because their spouse passed, and it's around the time you get kind of out of the fog. You know what I mean? When the fog starts to lift a little bit and you just start having a thought about anything else other than your spouse dying, I feel like that's when it really set in.
Yeah. So interesting. That's so interesting.
It's real.
Widow's fire.
But it has to be this internal readiness for yourself, right? I don't think anybody should put a timeline on that for you. And there's certain things that are harder than others. Like for me, I knew getting rid of my husband's clothes were going to be one of the hardest things I had to do. So I just ripped the Band-Aid off and did it right away because I knew the longer I waited, the harder it would be, the worse it would be.
Yeah.
So I did it right away. But you have to do what's and I'll read stuff in the widow forums, in the groups online on Facebook and stuff where people say, "Oh no, I kept their clothes because it still smells like them," or just different things, like they leave the toothbrush right where it was. And for me, it feels a little creepy. I didn't like that. I knew it was going to be hard enough to put my life back together and move forward. I wanted to just start, just move forward and do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to go back and remember for myself, and I think that there were probably, now that I think about it, some people that could have really been in judgment of or watching, and I think maybe it's different for. I don't know, even different for a man or a widower, because then you're experiencing it, because you're having it being a female, but let's just say that you weren't going through that, and then maybe a close male friend of yours, or maybe, I have the widower's fire going on, and you're like, how could you do that? You don't really understand until it's you, right? So maybe you could have just as easily been in judgment as someone else, but now that you're experiencing it, I think that's important to point out, right? No, you don't know until you know. And well, we hope you never do know, and have to experience it, but don't be so judgy. Try to be more understanding and more empathetic of maybe that need, or maybe that some things are uncontrollable, these feelings that we have, and it could be a part of healing. It could be a part of moving on, and you should applaud someone for being brave and having the ability to do that. And again, you don't know what was discussed prior and what they talked about, and all of that is different for everybody. So, and obviously,
shoot, there's so many relationships that are open now. You don't even know if that existed.
True that.
There's so much of that. So I guess to put a little bow on this, probably because we're getting close to the end.
That's a whole episode. Are we? I don't think we're anywhere close to the end.
Are we?
We're 45 minutes in.
Well, I was just going to think the conversations that you have with the kids and the family, and that's a big part of it. What I was thinking, Jason, that surprised me the most is my mother-in-law.
Yeah. She gave you permission?
I had a tumultuous relationship with her for a lot of our marriage. I always felt like she made me feel like I wasn't good enough for my husband,
Yeah.
And she did. She totally said, "You know what? You're young."
Wow.
She said, you're young, and as much as it pains me to say this, you need to move on. You need to find someone else. She's the last person on the planet I expected that to come from.
Well, and so, and maybe a lot of it has to do with, I don't know, it's hard. Like, let me ask you it this way. Did you guys have the conversation, before your husband passed? Did you guys have that conversation?
With my husband? Wait.
About dating and the future and relationships, and did he give you the permission, or did he tell you to?
He definitely did not give me the permission. He could be a little more jealous.
Okay.
To the point to where, there were times in our marriage where I felt when I was starting to feel really smothered and controlled and squished.
Yep.
And it's like being together for so long, he knew that boundary, but he would almost push me sometimes with the jealousy where he knew, if I snap, you're going to push me away and I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
So we kind of had that understanding, but no, I don't think he ever would have given me permission for that. And I think that's probably where a lot of my kids get that and why they feel the way they do. Yeah. I mean, even like I told you, New Year's Eve, I spent the evening with a friend of mine that I knew I didn't have to worry about. And my oldest daughter, literally told me the next day she felt like I was cheating on her dad. And it was a whole fight the next day.
Well, yeah, it's so interesting. So, my wife.
And I'm thinking, cheating on your dad? I didn't even give the guy a hug.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I talked about just having those conversations with your children too. Like in a situation like mine where my wife was terminally ill, we knew that it was going to be reality. And so your husband, Chris, he was sick, right? Yeah. But, and it did happen pretty quickly, the downturn, but like there was still like he wasn't necessarily terminally ill, right? He just
at the end he was.
At the end, right? It was there was no coming back, but it was maybe that was, there wasn't as much finality maybe, and maybe that dynamic was a little different, that you didn't have the conversation because in his mind he was still going to be around.
I think in his mind he always fought it. He wasn't sick.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. So that's why he didn't let go. Like if he accepted death and I'm on this trajectory and I'm sick and I'm not going to beat this, then that is, well, one, it's accepting your own mortality, and also talking about life without him here, right? And so that's some of the takeaways I think that we can help with, is have these conversations no matter what that situation is. Or if you're listening and maybe you do have a chance to have a little bit more grip on whatever is going to take you off this earth, is have a little bit more grip on that. I mean, there's some don't have a choice, some do, and there's sickness and addiction. I mean, I told my wife's story and I told my son's story, and I didn't really necessarily tell the story of, not episode 1 anyway, is my wife's sister passed away 5 years prior to her. My wife was 28. I'm 28. I'm sorry. Her sister was 28. My wife was 34. And when she passed, so my mother-in-law lost both her daughters and a grandson. But so my wife had experienced that traumatic loss of a sister that was 1 year younger, that she was super close to, came over this country not speaking a word of English, and they put them into the same grade because they didn't speak English, so they could be together in every class. And so they were like inseparable, and they had a bond unlike others. And so my sister-in-law passed away in the very same house that my wife passed away in, and she passed away on the couch where my mother-in-law was sleeping the night that my wife passed away. And the same people that came in and took out the sister-in-law were the same people that came to the same address for my wife. It was
small
just
town, very
much so, and it was just very wild, right? And which makes me remember too. We're on a show. We're talking about live, love, loss. Did you catch any of that Tylenol murders things that's going on? You should probably watch it. It's pretty interesting. So back in the 80s, there was the little time release ones. They put some cyanide in it. And they were selling them. That's back before they had all the 3 different seals and the cotton and everything else. When you're always like, man, these things are so hard to open. Well, there's a reason why they're so hard to open, because someone put cyanide in them and killed a bunch of people. Well, ironically enough, the very first case of this, someone was killed by taking it, and then everyone was gathered around at the remembrance at the house, and the brother and the wife took 2 of the Tylenols out of that same bottle, and so they died the same way. And so the crew came in and like, wait a second, the same thing happened, and the same pattern, same everything. So they had to figure out what had happened. But it's very similar. I was watching that this morning, and I was thinking about our show, but I was also thinking about my experience. And when we lost my wife's sister, and then 5 years later, all of that stirred up. When my wife passed, it stirred that up. And then 10 years later, when I lost my son, it stirred that up. So it's like inevitably things are going to stir that up, and there's going to be things that are even doing this show, I'm unpacking a lot of things that I've got packed for a long time, and so
like, I wasn't planning to open that Pandora box, but you just asked me these questions.
Yeah, so it's just very interesting, right? So they will always be a part of your life. You'll always remember them, but you can also continue to honor them, and moving on doesn't necessarily mean that you're not honoring them.
Well, you're not living, right? I mean, I think you can't bring them back. That's the thing that I think I came to terms with, is I can't.
You're not replacing them either.
He's option B, you know, like option A is not available anymore. Chris will never be here again. Helena will never be here again.
Yeah.
So anything after that is just option B.
Yeah. So some of the things that, since we're rounding third here, some of the things we didn't get to talk about, because we're good storytellers. We just tell some stories. The difference between replacement and rediscovery, why new love doesn't replace your spouse. It reveals who you are now, and embracing change without comparison. So we're not out to replace, we're just out there to live again. Right. And we know who they are will never be compromised. And just because I'm ready sooner than what someone else thinks, it's sitting in judgment. It's like you said, it's none of their business, but I mean, you're maybe doing that for different reasons, and it's not a replacement, you know.
Well, I think it's hard to date someone that's a widow and a widower too, because
it
like
stirs up,
even
yeah.
just doing this show, I've heard you say my wife, right? When you talk about Helena, I say my husband.
I still do it.
When I talk about Chris, and so can you imagine what that's like for someone else trying to date
We
someone
never got
like
divorced.
us?
So, I mean, I didn't get divorced. We didn't break up. I didn't get divorced.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's got to be super hard to date a widow or a widower. So if you're listening to this show.
I was baggage, yeah.
But I mean, if you're listening to the show and you're dating someone.
Yeah.
Like me, like you. Yep. That's a widower. Give them some grace. Because like you said, they didn't get a divorce. They in their mind, like they know they're not with him anymore, and they don't mean to do that, but it's just different. Life is very different.
Yeah. Well, and if anything, I mean, I think that just shows the true character of that person to be able to talk about them as if they're still here, but also to just, that's how much you valued them, you know, and even if they do remarry, you know, yes, I'm married to you now, and, you know, that was my wife, so I'm not going to refer to her as my ex-wife.
Right, she's not.
And you know,
late,
I may say,
and late feels terrible, right?
Yeah,
late wife, late husband.
And when I found myself only saying that when someone doesn't know, and I would say, you know, my late wife, you know, if it's for the first time, but you know, beyond that, I wouldn't always refer to her as, hey, my late wife, you know. So you know, and when you. Late wife, meaning she's no longer with us.
Late means passed away.
Passed away.
No, it's not. We didn't make up the term. It's just the way it is.
Why would they be early? They're not. They're late. Is in the past tense. Late is in past tense, like over. Yeah, late.
They passed away earlier than.
No, but he's thinking about it wrong.
Yeah, you got it backwards.
It's like anytime people talk about like spouse, like your
late wife. It would be my
wife.
early wife. You know, I mean, I guess. Well, you know, if I'm not married now, so and it's not, you know, haven't really been married since, so it's I don't know why you'd call it an early life. Let's chat GPT that later.
No, it's your late spouse is gone.
Yeah, moving on to the next one: internal readiness versus external expectations. Recognizing your own readiness versus here it is, reacting to others' opinions and timelines. Trusting your gut.
That's right there. Trust your gut.
This isn't the timeline that I didn't even read yet, but it all rings true, right? It's you know, it's your life, it's your mind, it's your body, it's your decision, it's your choice, and it's your feelings and where you are at the moment, you know. So yeah, I mean, I think
so dating versus companionship. How would you describe that?
Good question.
How do you think about that?
Well, at 51 years young, you know, and thinking about, you know, the I don't want to say the home stretch or the final chapter, because hopefully there's many more chapters. But
even if you live to be 100, you are on the last half, right?
That's my point. This second act, or so to speak. So, way I look at it is this: I may have to date a lot to find that person, but I'm at that point in time, and either for myself, where I want that companionship to make more memories with, and to, you know, grow old together, and to you know, start that second act. So I probably in my 30s versus 50s, I may have thought about that differently. Like, I'm not ready to settle down anytime soon. I want to get out there and date, you know. At 51, I mean, I don't want to be that guy. But also too,
and your options are slimmer. They just are.
Yeah, but also 50s. Too, at the same time, you know, you're not looking for a replacement, and it is about timing. At the same time, I mean, it's just, I think it has to organically happen, and I think if you look for it too soon, or if you just look for a period, it happens when you least expect it.
That's the problem I have with the dating apps. They seem so inorganic.
Yeah, well, it's always going to be, and that's another show and another topic I'll talk about later, because anyway, I'll leave that on the back burner. I'll leave you in suspense. But for me, at this point in time in my life, you do have to date to find companionship, but I think my biggest misstep is I'm a very hot or cold person. So where I am very romantic and I'm very affectionate, I can be very emotionless if I don't feel it, right? So I can go on 50 first dates very easily.
That's funny.
And because like there is no second date, because if I'm not feeling it, I'm going to spare you the grief. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to lead you on, because I just know instantaneously just about. And I think it's okay for you to feel that way of me too. Right. But
so let me ask you a question.
I'm trying to go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. I was trying to elaborate on that.
We couldn't date. right there.
That's why we're perfect show partners.
Yes. So, okay, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, when you say you have to feel it, is it, you don't think those feelings are developed? You think it's like right away, if there's a spark?
Right away.
Okay.
Right away. Now, but everybody's different. It's not a one size fits all, because there is the other part of it. Oh, well, you get to know someone and you fall in love, right? But okay, maybe that's true in some cases, but like, I think attraction is primal, and right, I think it starts there, right? And then you get to know someone, but then you really become more attracted to someone who might not fit the textbook, but image of a man or woman, or what you think is the perfect image of a man or woman. But because here if you can go on a first date with someone who is, very attractive, and then they start to speak and then they become very unattractive, versus vice versa. You go out with someone who may not be your first choice, but you really get to know them, and they're fun, and they listen, and they laugh at your jokes, or they're funny, or whatever it is. I think there is, so I don't mean to be so cold when I say it that way. I just think for me, I just really know, because the real word chemistry and spark, I'm really big into that. So if an Aries is very affectionate, there also is a spark or a chemistry that can't be faked. And if the chemistry isn't there within seconds or moments, it probably never will be there.
It's funny you say that.
Everybody's way different, though.
Yeah. Well, you're an Aries, right? Same as my husband was. And he would swear, like, to this day, he would still tell you the same story. He tells all the time. He say the first time he met me, the very first night we met, he told me he fell in love.
Okay.
And I would always tell him that's bullshit, because I don't believe in love at first sight.
Listen. This episode's going to go longer because you just triggered me. You triggered me, and I really want to talk about it in a second.
One way or another.
You just triggered me, so maybe we better put a pin in and save for the second one. Or should I give a little spoiler alert?
What's the spoiler alert? You might forget.
Okay, the spoiler alert is as follows. Me and Chris are a lot alike in that way, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I have, number one, either been challenged, or there's a term out there, just like I didn't really know about like widow's fire or widower's fire, but there's a term out there, and I will call bullshit on it, because myself or Chris may have been the exception to the rule, because you can chat GPT this all day long, and I've done it where I chat GPT'd it, and I'm like, here, it really is real. So it's called love bombing, right? So someone can love bomb you, but like, here's the thing. Here's what I'm here to tell you. Love bombing on the first date is creepy and weird, right? So, because I've been love bombed myself, like already planning a marriage, like on date 2.
Yeah, that was my first date after I lost Chris.
Yeah, but I will tell you that when I know, and I'm either one extreme or the other, and I can count on less than one hand the times that I really, really like, oh my gosh, like really, really. And even recently for myself, I've experienced that in a way where it's like, just because I say it like that, I mean, number one, you shouldn't be creeped out. And it isn't love bombing, because there is that exception to the rule where their actions match their words.
That's true.
And you have the context. This isn't after one day or 1 month. You're talking in like, it might be a situation where it's been years. You know this person for a couple of years, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. And so if you say something to someone like, I just want to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you. If you say that on day number 1, number 2, it could be a little creepy, right? You can say, I can see myself, in that trajectory, but like, it's going to come point in time. I knew for me, I would never dream of saying that at all unless I just really felt it in my gut.
If somebody says that to me, I'm running, especially if it's a first or second date.
But let's be absolutely clear. I'm not talking about date number 1, right?
Okay.
I'm talking about in a situation, there are people that
where
feel...
you've known them, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you let me finish, this is why it would never work.
I'm trying to
It would be one and done for sure. One and done. So it's like this. What it is like, if you really know you're in tune with yourself, and you know what that spark, that feeling, and it's very easy to to move on when you trusting your gut. So when the time does come, because it isn't an everyday thing. If I can go on 50 first dates, and I may not say that one, not even one out of the 50 times. So 50 dates happen. I didn't say it once, but on the 51st date, not that I'm going to say it on the first date, but I can sense it and I can feel it, and where, or maybe it's something where you meet someone and that doesn't develop, not because there wasn't an attraction, there just wasn't the opportunity till later on. And then all of a sudden there might be this opportunity, but maybe the timing is different, right? And I'll expand on that on another show. I'm not going to talk about it in this show. But what I'm saying is that people love at first sight. You can say you call bullshit, but I will give your bullshit, right?
Okay.
Because for him it was, and he meant it.
I know it was.
Yeah. So just because you personally, and that's okay for you to be that way, but don't take away from that person. And at the time, you might have, but now 31 years later, he proved it.
Oh yeah, it took me a long time to realize it wasn't bullshit.
Okay.
For him anyway.
Okay, so then now we have proof of concept here, right? So what I want to do, I'm glad we're having this conversation. I'm glad we saw it. I saw it your way, and you can see it my way. There's going to be some compromise, and you and I will compromise on the show because we're both very opinionated and very firm in our beliefs, right? Which is okay, right? But I think that if anything, you've proved my theory correct. Like, he didn't necessarily love bombed you because he was with you until the day he passed, right? So,
but he also wasn't creepy clingy either. You know, we talked about that.
Yeah. So that's my whole point. And so, I think probably we will talk about your date on the next episode more in detail.
Will.
What's the guy's name? No, I'm kidding. But no, this is fascinating for me because, we're past the 1 hour mark and we are going to put a bow in it, but it's fascinating for me because this is where it gets interesting, and this is where
we're going to have fun. It's going to get spicy.
It's going to get it already did get a little provocative, the widower's fire that,
I'm like shocked you never heard that before today.
I don't get out much. No, I don't know. It might, but it's because my situation was 1,000% different than yours.
Yeah, you're right.
It was 17 years ago. Even if I knew about that, I mean, that's a long time ago.
Well, next time we're going to talk about
so
the dating apps
on
the
that
awkward
note,
first date.
because you will definitely want to tune. If you enjoyed anything we talked about today, if you're currently having widower's fire, please stay tuned until next week, and we'll tell you a lot more. Until then,
2025. Jason's going to tell you all about it.
I'm Jason McIntosh, and
I'm Katrina Madel. We had fun. Hang out for our banter.
We did have fun. So we're going to go out and extinguish some of them widower's fires, and we'll see you in the next one.